In this Photoshop tutorial, I'll be showing you how to create a logo that has transparency. You can see the logo on the right has a white box around it. If I move this box over my image, you can see that the white isn't transparent and it covers up the imagery behind it. Transparency in an image is helpful because it means there's no pixels around the edge, which means anything underneath the image shows through. So there's a couple images we'll use for this exercise. The first one is this mountain logo, and the second one is this outdoor lake and mountains shot. We'll open up the PNG with Photoshop, and you'll see here that our mountain logo has this white space around it. You'll notice here that we have a single layer named Layer O. And just in case you're trying to convert a JPEG, I'll open up a JPEG version of this logo. Exactly the same, but you'll notice that it's the background and it's locked. So if you see this lock on your lower layer, you might need to click it once to unlock the layer. I'll close this JPEG and we'll work with our PNG file. Our layer is unlocked, so now we're free to work. Now to choose this white area around here, you could go in with the eraser, but that would take a really long time and it'd be a bit hard to get around the edges really cleanly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the Magic Wand tool. Magic Wand is W key if you want to use a shortcut. Click on that, and now you'll notice that your tool changes into this little magic wand. Basically, if you click on the white, you'll notice that a selection automatically appears. And what's happening with the Magic Wand tool is whatever color you click on, it grabs color next to that that is the same range. So you can see here that I'm choosing the black outline, or the orange inside the moon, and the green of the mountains. If you want to select multiple areas, click on one area, then hold the Shift key, and click on another area. And you can see that it's selected just the green areas. If at any time you want to deselect your selection, go up to the top menu, click Select, and choose Deselect. So next, let's select the white area to delete it. Click once with your Magic Wand tool in the white space, and you'll notice that pretty much all of the white has been selected. There's two small areas here that haven't been. I'm going to zoom up to make this a bit easier. On Mac, this is Command plus and minus, or on PC, it's Control plus and minus. Holding Shift, I'm going to click again with my Magic Wand on this little white line. You'll see that it selected it. I'll also do that on this very small part here in the moon. And that selected that. If at any point you've accidentally selected something else, you can choose Edit, Undo Magic Wand, or select Deselect to deselect everything, and you can begin again. Okay, I'll zoom out. So we have our white area selected. Now the quick and easy way is to just click Delete on your keyboard. And you'll notice that automatically the white is deleted, and we now have this checkerboard image. So before I explain that, let's deselect. Transparency in Photoshop is conveyed by this checkerboard. Basically, this is Photoshop saying anything where you can see these checkerboards means there's no image, and it's transparent. So don't think that actual checkerboard will be on your image. That's just to convey transparency. If I go up to my Move tool, I can now move this image, and you can see that it's sliding over that checkerboard. So this shows that we've done our transparency really well. If your image has more specific erasing that you need to do, instead of using the Magic Wand, use the actual Eraser tool. Now let's add some text. Go to your Text tool, which is T. Click once. And I'm going to type in Go Wild. Now my font's a little bit big, so let's click and drag to highlight that. And I'll take my font down to say 60. Maybe a little bit smaller. Let's try 50. 50 is good. I'll hit the tick to accept the changes. And now using my Move tool, let's move this text so it's about centered underneath the logo like that. So now we have our mountain logo with the moon and a little bit of text there. Let's save this as a Photoshop file. So go File, Save As, and I'll call this Logo Edit. Make sure you have Photoshop selected and your layers are ticked. Click Save, and our Photoshop file is saved. So at any point you can come back and make some text changes or change the colors or positions of your elements. Now we'd like to save this as a single layer file that can keep the transparency. And that file type is PNG. Click File, Save As, and I'll call this Logo Final, Transparency, And the file format we're looking for is PNG. PNG automatically keeps transparency. Let's click Save. And you have a couple options here. We'll keep this the largest file size. Click OK. And now you'll notice that we still have these two layers here. That's because this is our Photoshop file. But let's go back and open up our PNG. I see here our logo final transparency. I'll open that up in Photoshop. And you'll see here we now have our two files, our original Photoshop and now our transparent PNG. And you'll notice that there's only one layer. So the PNG flattens the layers together while retaining the transparency. And you're still free to move the image around. So I'll close that. There's no need to save. And I'll also close the logo edit. Now let's open up our image of the mountain and the lake. So this is where we'd like to paste our logo. Let's open up our transparency PNG that we just made. To copy this layer, I'm going to click and drag from this layer, move my mouse over to my original lake image file, bring my mouse down, and then release the mouse. And you'll see that we have our image here, and it's created a new layer. I'll double click on layer 1 and call it logo. And now we're free to move this image around. You'll see as I move it, the transparency works really well. Because this logo has transparency around its edges, it means anything underneath shows through. This is a little bit big, so I'm going to click Edit, Free Transform. And to shrink this down, hold down your Shift key, and that will make sure that your logo retains its proportions as you shrink. If you don't hold Shift, you can accidentally squish and squash. So I'll shrink down my logo about there, and to accept the changes, I'll hit tick. And now I can position my logo where I like. About there in the middle looks good. So using transparency in imagery is really helpful, especially for still images, where you can apply logos and graphics, and have the transparency reveal the image behind, but also for video editing. You may want to add in a logo, a graphic, or possibly even a name tag or title of the speaker in your video. If you include the transparency and save it as a PNG, editing software such as Premiere Pro can handle this file, and your video footage will play in the background while keeping this transparency underneath. Just make sure to put this above the video footage layer. So this can be really helpful to get good results.